Hey guys, how are you? Um, Hope you're having a good night. I'm sitting in my car and I've been thinking we are a set of needy people, or we want so many things. Um, we want what we want and we want it now. We want it, we have our checklists of when we want it, how we want it, and sometimes we even pray and ask God for these things and expect that because we prayed about it, we're gonna get it. And I was thinking sometimes the things that we want are not good for us, or the things that we want are not what God has in store for us. But sometimes we could be very persistent and determined that that's what we want and that's how we want it. Um, as children of God, a lot of times we'll even go on fasting. And I was listening to a message, I believe it was last night, or it could have been earlier today. And it was, the preacher was saying that we fast and ask God for things and think that we're going to get it because we think that fasting forces the hand of God. And fasting does not force the hand of God, but fasting help us to accept the plans of God. So we are seeing things from a different perspective, or we're accepting what God has in store. And I was thinking, like, how many times I've fasted and just fasted and prayed and waited for God to answer in a specific way. And the way that I wanted the answer, it didn't come. Does that mean that God has forgotten about me? Does that mean that God has forgotten about you? No. It just was not in alignment. It was just not within the plans of God. And another thing that we need to accept is if things don't pan out the way that we want it, are we willing to accept that? Because we know that the plans of God and the plans that God has for our lives are the most perfect plans. Scripture says that His ways are not our ways, and His timing is not our timing. His thoughts are not our thoughts. So we need to have confidence that what God has in store for us is best. A few scriptures that I think is in alignment with trusting God's plan. 2 Peter 3:8 says, with the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. So that shows His timing is not even close to ours. 1,000 years is like a day to God. So sometimes we feel like we've been waiting too long, or the process is just taking too long. Be patient, because God's timing is different than ours. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. So sometimes it's not the time or the season for that thing to happen, or for you to get that thing, or whatever it is. It's just not the season. And we need to be patient. And Psalms 27 verse 4 speaks of that, where it says, wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. So we just need to be patient and wait for God. We need to wait for God to move. We need to wait for God to act. We just need to wait for God's timing. We know God's timing is the best timing, and most importantly, you want what you want to align with the divine purpose and divine timing of God. And I think if we do that, then things will work out good for us, and also our mindsets will change, and we will be more content in the season that we're in, knowing that God has a bigger plan for our lives and He's working everything out for good. Have a good night.